Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is be a consequence. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another Coffee Time with John. I love my coffee. I wanted to hop on and talk about this today because it came up this past week. I had someone who was coming back to me for readings over and over again, and it became very apparent that this person was using me as a crutch, or was addicted to me making them feel better, and was coming back to basically just feel better. And I called them out and told them they really needed to step up and take responsibility rather than looking for people outside of themselves to empower them. And the man went ballistic. He started cussing and told me I'm full of junk, only he used an S word instead. And he used the F-bomb multiple times. He says, you and this effing Jesus stuff, it's all BS. There's all those things. But sometimes, when that situation arises, the first thing you have to do is, I don't take offense to it because I think it's their fear, their anxiety. I called him on something, and he lashed out in a reaction. Right? And to me, that tells me how fearful the person really is. But the point of this video is sometimes the most loving thing you can do is be a consequence. So I gave the guy an opportunity to, email me, whatever, and he ignored the fact of what he had said and done. And of course, I also believe that each one of us is equal in the oneness of God, and so there's no part that is less than any other. And so, in being someone who is empathic like myself, I have to understand that I have to stay very aware of keeping my self-awareness in balance. I can give up myself for the sake of all others, or I can give up all others for the sake of myself and become a narcissist. But I have to realize there's a balance, and when someone is coming to that place where that it is destructive either for you or for them to be in that sort of relationship, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is cut it off. And this person got, he got worse and worse, and then he emailed me and told me I was a liar, and I'm not offended. Please don't. I don't need the defense. I do not need the defense. It did not affect me that way. But what I did was, I literally said, okay, I appreciate this. I don't believe I can help you in your process. And I cut him off. I told him he can't have any more sessions with me. Now, was it the loving thing to do? I absolutely think it was a loving thing to do. Because when a person has a broken leg and you give them crutches, eventually you have to take the crutches away so that the leg can get stronger, or the leg will never get stronger because it's relying on the crutches. The bone strengthens when it's used. And so by cutting him off, it's kind of forcing him to stand on his own 2 feet. It kind of forces him to actually man up, or woman up. Either way, it's the same thing. Just to man up. That sounds like my father. Empower up. Let me put it that way. Empower up. It's forcing him to empower up. It's forcing him to step on his own 2 feet and let his own legs get stronger. And the interesting aspect of this is that it was also loving for me, right? Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is be a consequence. Being a consequence for him was good for him. Being a consequence for me by not letting someone treat me that way or disrespect me that way is without apologizing or evening the score. Evening the score not in a negative way, but in a balancing out. Apologizing, making amends, moving on. This person was not willing to do that at all. But I have to love myself enough to say, no, I'm not, you can't treat me that way. And so sometimes the most loving thing you can do is be a consequence. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is what is deemed as harsh. But if it's done with the intention of it being the right and loving thing, then it's not something you should lament or feel bad about doing. It's something you should stand firm in your belief that you're doing it for a loving reason, because the loving reason is in the end will ring true. I cannot tell you the amount of people who have contacted me from years ago that I have not spoken to, who told me that the harsh thing I did to them back then was the catalyst for their new life, and the things that they're doing now. I had one who was a beautiful person, wonderful, wonderful man, and he was a very good friend of mine, and he had addiction issues. And when he wasn't high or up on cocaine, he was a beautiful person, taught yoga. And he was just really a nice man. I liked him a lot. And when he was high, he was the exact opposite. He was mean. He was surly. He was a butthead, right? And it got to the point where I realized that I only liked him half the time. And I said to him, I said, I only like you half the time, and I don't want a half of a friend. So go get your stuff together. But until that's fixed, we're not friends. And he left. And he went back to his home state and put himself into rehab. Got over it, and then went back to school. Became a school teacher, and had a long, beautiful career teaching. But it was having someone say, I won't be your friend as long as you're doing this. That was a catalyst for him. Another one who was really living his life thinking he was so cool as a big fish in a small pond. He was a fight director, and he wasn't. He was a fight choreographer at a Renaissance festival I was directing, and he was directing one of our big fight shows, which was a chess match, and I began to notice that he wasn't showing up for the rehearsals, and that his assistant was doing all the choreography. And the more I noticed that, the more I was like, you're doing all the work. Why should I pay him to do the work that you're doing? And so I fired him. And, he worked out that year. The next year, I did not bring him in as a fight choreographer. And, he blew up, you're ending my friendship with my friend and all this stuff. I said, well, that's your choice. You get to make that choice. It's up to you. He doesn't want to end it, He has contacted me and said that was the thing that made him realize he was screwing up, and now he's an EMT, and he's doing all kinds of great things with his life, but he needed that catalyst. He needed someone to say, this is bad, you can't do the thing that you love doing, or the thing that makes you feel this powerful in that way. And so sometimes the most loving things you can do is be a consequence. And so remember that when you're going through your life, that not all times in your life are going to feel like you are, glowing love in a beautiful, flowers and rose petals kind of way. But instead, sometimes it's going to be, I have to be hard in this moment to be loving. It's okay to do that as long as the intent is loving. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching. The John of New channel is solely funded by your generous donations and purchases of private readings and merchandise. To help out, go to johnofnew.com or use the donation link in the description below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.